Thank you so much to the Pacintu Multinational Chorus. What a beautiful performance. In the Passamaquoddy language, Pacintu means, when she sings, her voice carries far. These young women have arrived in Maine from many parts of the world. We offer them a warm welcome tonight with sincere thanks to Director Con Fulham and to each member of the chorus. Join me in thanking the Pacintu Chorus. I'm delighted to welcome you all to the second annual Justice for Women Lecture presented by the University of Maine School of Law. My name is Peter Pittigoff. I'm Dean of the Law School, and I thank you all for joining us tonight. This evening, we're extremely honored to welcome Ms. Leymah Gbowee as our Justice for Women Lecturer. Leymah Gbowee is courageous, she's generous, she's kind, she's an inspiring leader in women's rights, in human rights, and in our continuing quest for peace. As you know, Ms. Gbowee played a pivotal role in bringing peace to her war-torn nation of Liberia, and she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2011. This evening, we hear from her about how she's faced enormous challenges, how she's influenced the course of history in Liberia and beyond, and how she continues to inspire women around the globe. You'll hear a proper introduction for Leymah Gbowee in just a few minutes from Cora Weiss. Cora Weiss is also a global leader in peace and justice, and fortunately for us, she's on the advisory council of the Justice for Women Lecture Series. She helped us find our way to tonight's distinguished speaker. The University of Maine School of Law established the Justice for Women Lecture Series with the goal of engaging people in Maine in a global conversation, in a conversation about justice for women and girls in the developing world, and justice here in Maine. Tonight is the second annual lecture in the series, and we look forward to continuing this tradition for years to come. I also would like to add that the Justice for Women lecture is an important reflection of the values of our law school, and the momentum we've got in not just helping and contributing to justice in Maine, but to further understanding today's complex society. We're a law school with a commitment to local impact in Maine and to our global reach. We're the public law school of Maine, we're the only law school of Maine, and we take our public mission seriously. Before we move on with the program, I'd like to thank our many student volunteers tonight, members of the Women's Law Association of the University of Maine School of Law, and to Kayla Ramsey and many other colleagues at the law school who worked so hard to produce tonight's program. And I want to give special thanks to my colleague Lexi Morris, who's been instrumental and unflappable as lead organizer for this event. As always, she's done a tremendous job. Thank you, Lexi. Thanks to the many people and institutions that have supported this lecture series, many of them listed in your program. Also listed are the members of the Advisory Council. We count on members of the Advisory Council for the Justice for Women Lecture Series. Just an amazing group of people from the U.S. and overseas. And of course, central to this exciting series is Catherine Lee. Kathy and I began discussing the Justice for Women Lecture idea a few years ago. It was her inspiration, her determination, and her support that gave rise to this exciting new lecture series. Kathy Lee is a lawyer, an entrepreneur, a civic leader. She's founder of Lee International, and she's engaged in a global practice addressing issues of climate change. She travels extensively around the world and is passionate about justice for women and girls in developing nations and here in the United States. Kathy will present a few remarks and introduce Cora Weiss, who in turn will introduce our distinguished lecturer, Leymah Gbowee. Kathy, please join me at the podium.
Good evening. Thank you, Peter. A special warm welcome on this winter evening to our speaker, Leymah Gbowee, and 2 of her 6 children who are here with her, Arthur and Amber. 3 years ago, I took the idea of the Justice for Women lecture series to Peter, and he immediately saw the value of bringing vital voices of activism from the developing world to Maine, not only for the benefit of his law students, but for all of us in the community, including new Mainers. This summer, the law school's Justice for Women program will send a law student to Botswana to work as an intern directly with Unity Dow, who was last year's speaker, on cases that she's handling on human rights in her law practice. We plan to continue the Justice for Women internship into the future, and in fact, Leymah Gbowee has already generously agreed to have an intern work with her and her organization next summer. Without Peter's support, we wouldn't have the lecture, the amazing internship opportunity, or the community events that have become a part of this Justice for Women lecture series. Peter mentioned we created an advisory council. The council members are listed in your program. Take a look. They're all extraordinary people. I thank all of you, advisory council members who are here, for your service and your support. I also thank my assistant, Elise York, for the many hours of work she's devoted to the cause, helping me and Peter and Lexi pull it all together. I also want to thank my family, all of whom have encouraged and supported this project. My late father, Shep, and my mother, Nancy Margolis, made me understand that I have an obligation and the ability to act and to make a difference. I'm supported also by my brothers, Jonathan, Adam and his wife, Diana, my sister, Beth, her husband, Adam, my son, Jason, my stepmother, Candace, and last but not least, my husband, Bob Moyer, who has propped me up, pushed me forward, and generally kept me sane in the tough moments of trying to get this venture off the ground. But I say to all of you, in these times of fiscal cliffs and budget cuts and rises in tuition and increasing pressures on students, public institutions like the University of Maine School of Law can only present programs like this with support from private individuals, foundations, and businesses. We need public-private partnerships like the Justice for Women. Thank you. We need these public-private partnerships to keep our public institutions relevant, to enable them to bring programs like this to our communities. I want to thank the generous donors who have already stepped up so far to join the partnership. Without you, we wouldn't be here today. We need many more of you to keep this program strong. Now let me turn to Cora Weiss, who is a member of our advisory council, who's come up from New York City, and is a stunning example of an individual who's devoted her life to supporting and participating in driving just the kind of partnership I'm talking about. About 3 years ago, as our conversations began, I made a cold call to Cora, a woman I had known of and admired since college. She took my call, listened attentively as I described our vision. Only days later, I was on a plane to New York City to meet her. She had squeezed me in between her meeting with representatives of the EU and her manicure. Cora agreed to serve on the advisory council and has been and continues to be a constant source of support for this lecture series and for me personally. In fact, it was Cora, as Peter mentioned, who gave us the brilliant idea to invite Leymah Gbowee this year as our lecturer and helped us connect to her. Cora spent her life in the movements for civil rights, human rights, women's rights, and peace, movements that she believes must be considered as one package in order to secure a safer, saner life for her children, her grandchildren, and mine and yours. She ran the African American Students Foundation Airlift of 1959 to 1963 that brought close to 800 students from East Africa to the US, including Kenyan environmental activist and Nobel laureate Wangari Maathai. She was one of the civil society drafters of what became Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace, and security, and continues to work for its full implementation. She's president of the Hague Appeal for Peace, which convened the largest peace conference in history in May 1999. She's past president and current representative to the United Nations of the International Peace Bureau, an international organization which earned the Nobel Peace Prize in 1910. Cora herself has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 3 times, most recently in 2011, together with her husband, Peter, a constitutional and human rights lawyer. She has 3 children, 5 grandchildren. Please join me in thanking and welcoming Cora Weiss.
Over the top. Is it all right? You know what we do, we women, we change the furniture. Can we have a little light in here so I can see who I'm talking with? Is that possible? So thank you, Dean Pittigoff, sorry. And thank you, Kathy. That was a very generous introduction. But thank you for initiating this extremely important series of talks with women who are making peace and justice happen. And thank you, everyone here, for coming, because you are going to meet a most extraordinary, inspiring, wonderful woman whom I have the honor and pleasure of introducing. Leymah Gbowee has been called one of Africa's most powerful voices for peace and social change. Education is paramount for Leymah as she leads her Gbowee Peace Foundation Africa, focused on developing the next generation of responsible leaders for Africa. To that end, she's looking for schools and universities in Maine, too, for scholarships for Liberia's girls, while she runs seminars on family planning, life skills, and peer education. Are there folks here from Liberia or from Africa? Anyone here? I can't see you, but maybe. Great. Well, good. We're all in for a great treat. I'd like to bring you the latest news that reflects Leymah Gbowee's passion, peace and justice, and women's rights. On March 14, Leymah Gbowee signed a letter with 17 of her Nobel Peace Prize laureate fellows. To their fellow peace laureate, Barack Obama, calling on him to take a leadership role in supporting a historic binding agreement that would regulate the global arms trade. It includes a strict ban on arms sales to states involved in egregious human rights abuses. Thank you. The Arms Trade Treaty is being debated at the UN as we speak. Leymah, in signing this letter to President Obama, is joined by President Carter, Desmond Tutu, Jody Williams, and others you are all familiar with. And then the next day, on Friday, March 15th, the Commission on the Status of Women, also meeting at the United Nations, passed the agreed conclusions on the elimination and prevention of all forms of violence against women and girls. Among other demands, it calls for sex education for all adolescents and youth, campaigns in cooperation with civil society, especially women's organizations, targeting men and boys to address causes of violence and abuse against women and girls, and 17 pages of other welcome proposals that support Leymah's work. When the head of the Norwegian Nobel Committee bestowed the Nobel Peace Prize on 3 women in 2011, he recognized that the Chinese proverb, "Women hold up half the sky," has merit. The Nobel citation read, "We cannot achieve democracy and lasting peace in the world unless women acquire the same opportunities as men at all levels of society." Leymah Gbowee was one of 250 nominees for the 2011 Peace Prize and only the 15th woman out of 100 individual peace laureates over a period of 107 years to be anointed. She was recognized for bringing Christian and Muslim women and women from various ethnic groups together in a unique peace effort. As you've heard, she helped to bring the long war, destroying Liberia, to an end. Her work also ensured women's participation in decision-making and in elections. Leymah accepted the Nobel Peace Prize, quote, "in the name of the women who continue to work for peace, equality, and justice across the world." She told the story, and you'll soon see she's a wonderful storyteller. She told the story of starting the Women of Liberia Mass Action Campaign with nothing but our conviction and $10 US. It was needed, she said, because women had become the toy of war for overdrugged young militias. Sexual abuse and exploitation spared no woman. We were raped and abused regardless of our age, religious, or social status. We used our pains, our broken bodies, and scarred emotions to confront the injustice and terror of our nation. The mass action campaign included thousands of women wearing white who confronted the warlords who were dragging Liberia through war. The women met in a field where Leymah used to play soccer as a student. It was midway between White Flower, then President Charles Taylor's house, and the executive mansion. So every time the president went to work and returned home, he had to pass the white field of protesting women. During the peace negotiations in Ghana, the women joined hands, circled the house where the men were meeting, and wouldn't let them out until they had signed a peace agreement. They were so determined to force an agreement and so frustrated that when Leymah was threatened with arrest, she in turn threatened to strip naked, at which point the police ran away. So how did all of that come to pass? Leymah comes from a large family on the outskirts of Monrovia, the capital city named for US President James Monroe. And I urge you to look up the history of Liberia, because I'm going to skip to fast forward Charles Taylor. You've heard of him, an Americo-Liberian who terrorized Liberia for decades. Child soldiers roamed the country. Taylor, the first head of state to be tried for crimes against humanity, was convicted in January of this year and sentenced to 50 years in prison for his role in the bloodbath in Sierra Leone that left children without hands, wives without husbands, thousands raped and traumatized. Leymah said she saw a rainbow when she heard the news of his conviction, but she also asked, Where is the justice for the amputees, for the sexually molested? Taylor's ill-gotten gains should be distributed to his victims, she said. Taylor's Liberia is not the country I want for my children or others. Leymah's grandmother gave her her first lesson in feminism. Married at 15, she left her husband after the first episode of domestic violence. Like Grandma, whom she admired, Leymah is also self-confident. She tells about being loved by her parents, of being taught with her sisters to fight for themselves against injustice. Leymah brings a background in conflict resolution and mediation to her work. She became a social worker trained in trauma healing, but found that few women would participate or speak. So she started women's-only sessions. And when the women told their own stories, they were empowered and started to take responsibility for improving their communities. This led to the Women's Peace-Building Network and recognition that women need to be in peace negotiations. She earned her master's degree in conflict transformation at Eastern Mennonite University. Her wish one day is to get a doctorate in public policy and become a member of Parliament. Early on, Leymah made the decision that if women were not part of the solution, they would continue to be victims, and her goal was to help them become peacemakers. Not every Nobel laureate was invited to carry the flag with Secretary General Ban Ki-moon at the London Olympics. And no other Nobel laureate that I know of is a movie star. Leymah and her Liberian women are the stars of Pray the Devil Back to Hell, a PBS special made by Abigail Disney about the campaign that led to Leymah's Nobel Peace Award. We can learn so much about courage, faith, honesty, strengths and weaknesses from Leymah's remarkable memoir, Mighty Be Our Powers, on sale tonight. Who would have thought that a woman driven by her intense anger over the brutalities of war, driven by her faith, by her abhorrence of the lack of accountability on the part of a series of administrations, a woman who is dedicated to organizing and to educating young women, could also be funny. Google Comedy Central and listen to her turning the tables on Jon Stewart, who is always the one to dish out the jokes and make his guests nervous. Leymah was in control. She thanked him for inviting her to be on the most popular talk show in America. And then she quickly said, and for inviting the most popular peace woman in Africa. And Jon Stewart doubled over in laughter. He said she was the most charming, vivacious advocate. Leymah, you won over the most watched and admired man in America. I asked Leymah what she dreamed the world would look like when her daughters reached 21 and sons. She wants to see a world where there is respect and equality, human rights and justice for all, a world where they will not have to struggle, and where the face of justice is the same for women and men. And she dreams that Liberians will not continue the harmful traditional practices of the past. Leymah is a member of the Nobel Women's Initiative, the group of women Peace Prize laureates. It's a small group, too small, but very powerful. She recently guided them through Liberia. At the village of Totota, there's a peace hut, but one one of many peace huts inspired by women who demanded a peace agreement. Women hold discussions there about everything. They're building a guest house for women coming from neighboring countries to learn how Liberian women organize. The visitors wandered off to the village, and Jody Williams, fellow Nobel laureate, stayed behind to rest. And Leymah was in the peace hut with her sisters when Jody started to hear the shaking of the beaded gourds, tapping a beat, and in Jody's words, Leymah and her sisters boogied down. Friends, one of Africa's best known, serious, funniest, and most wonderful and powerful women, Leymah Gbowee.
Thank you. Thank you all.